Squid Game Season 2 was bad. Alright, now that I've got hate comments flooding in, I can properly start off. Now, Squid Game Season 2 was coming off the tail of arguably one of, if not the biggest show Netflix has ever made. The hype around Squid Game Season 1 was undeniable, and it's safe to say tons of people watched it when it came out, and a majority of people with Netflix likely watched it. Besides me, of course. I only just watched Season 1 like a week ago as of recording this. You see, I never really liked the premise around Squid Game as a death game where people compete for money. That just sounded weird. Especially with the show being Korean as well, I had doubts due to shading dubbing as shows in the past. After watching Season 1 in preparation for Season 2 though, I really enjoyed the show and was excited to watch the next showings. So, where does Season 2 lie in this jumbled mess? Is it good, bad, mediocre? Well, I can comfortably say that Season 2 is a great show. Now, depending on where you stand, you may disagree or agree with me, but personally, I really enjoyed this season of Squid Game. Now, I have multiple reasons for that, which I'll get into, but as a general note, I really do love this season of Squid Game. Now, for the actual reasons behind this, the first is quite simple. I really did enjoy the games played in this season. I mean, Season 1 is well known for its creative and simple, yet disturbing games. For instance, my favorites had to be the titular Squid Game that is played at the end, because it's just such a great scene between the two characters, and the game itself is really cool too. It's like strategy and physical power that you need. And I also really love the Glass Bridge game just because I think it's one of the funnier games. Like, even though it's a game that comes down to chance, I still found it really great because you just like it's just luck and there's just so much funny scenes in it. I feel like with just people shoving people and stuff, it's really intense but funny at the same time. But where Season 1 falls flat in my opinion was the Honeycomb game. Even though it's arguably the most well-known game that came out of Season 1, I personally did not like the scene because it's a damn honeycomb. It shouldn't be that hard, I feel like. That, and it just comes down to the fact that I don't know what it is about it, but it's like it just felt like a game that's kind of there. Not really memorable. And I had the same critique of Tug of War as well. It's just kind of there. I mean, not really memorable. So, yeah. It's not a memorable game at all, in my opinion. Tug of War is kind of just there to kill off a bunch of players. However, I feel Season 2 has no bad games in it. Red Light, Green Light is so much more intense because you know of the fact that people are going to die. But you also get Gi-hoon just there commanding the field and like nobody dies for a while. And you're like, oh shit, they might make it out of this. Spoiler, they don't make it out of this. A bunch of people still die. But Red Light, Green Light is just so much more prevalent in this one. It's like you go into it and you know who's gonna move first, and who's gonna set off that chain reaction. And then the six-legged pentathlon is, I think, it does what Tug of War and Honeycomb wanted to do, and does it way better than both of them could do. It's a skillful game that requires teamwork. And the skill challenge, of course, is what the Honeycomb was supposed to be. And then teamwork is supposed to be Tug of War. But I don't feel like both of those do that very well. But the six-legged pentathlon is a very teamwork-based game, which I love. I love all team-based games. And the little mini-games themselves are extremely enjoyable to watch. I personally really love the, what's the one? I love, well, Donkey, of course. I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know. Is a really fun game. I love the stupid flying stone one where they throw the stone. That's such a funny scene when it's first shown because the guy just doesn't do it right at all. But it's like such a simple but interesting game. And then I feel a bit mixed about the carousel game. I would say it's still a good game, but the problem I have with it is it feels like a culling game, Kind of like what Tug of War is. Like, Tug of War and Marbles are culling games where, like, it's supposed to kill a bunch of people. And someone has to die in the carousel game, which I just don't like that much. I don't like having it to where someone is forced to die. Like, in Red Light, Green Light, and the Six Leg Pentathlon, everyone can live, technically, if they do good. But it just feels like you can kind of get the short end of the stick and not have an equal chance. But that's whatever, because it's meant to force conflict. I get this what the game makers are going for in Season 2, is that forced conflict kind of game. And the scene itself, again, it's amazing. I love the scene so much. There's so much tension. When the grandma is ripped away from the son, that is a sad scene. And that's one of the many sad scenes that I feel like is in there. And an interesting one to speak about is the special game that is played with the when the lights go down, because there is so much more emphasis on that game. Like, in the first season, it's just kind of there, I feel like, and it's like, ooh, the players want to brawl, they can brawl. But it's like, no, second season, they're gonna fight. You just know they're gonna fight. And I think that Season 2 just does every single game better than Season 1, other than maybe the Glass Bridge game. But that might just be the gambler in me speaking right now. But I think Glass Bridge is up there with Season 2 games, but I still think it falls a bit short of games like the Six-Legged Pentathlon, of course. Now, the characters themselves is a more controversial debate, because Season 1's cast is what makes Season 1. Everyone loves the Season 1 cast. And me personally, I do love the Season 1 cast as well. Ollie, Rip My Goat, is one of my favorite characters in the show. And Season 1's cast, again, is just overall unbeatable with the young Gi-hoon, the crazy old lady. I don't remember. You're going to realize real fast that I can't remember names that well. Especially that they're Korean names, and I just don't know. But you obviously probably know who I'm referring to. And then the gangster character in there. I love the gangster character too, because he's kind of just there to start shit, and I appreciate that. But all the characters and their chemistry is extremely great in the first season, and truly adds to the stakes and tension, because you don't want any of them to die, but you know someone's going to die. Will they make it to the next game? You never knew. And the emotions of Season 1 are extremely high as well, with a few scenes even making me tear up, like Ollie's death, of course. That is such a sad scene, but what I think it's an underrated scene in Season 1 is the 001 sharing the final marble with Gi-hoon. That scene actually made me cry, and that's one of the only scenes that actually made me cry, was that scene. But that's just, I don't know. People probably would expect to cry at Ollie's death, and I didn't, but I cry at that scene. But that's besides the point. Do the emotions in Season 2 match the ones in Season 1? Not exactly. And this is in no, like, bad way, though. I don't get sad in Season 2, besides maybe at the death of Gi-hoon's friend and the failure of the rebellion, but even then, it's really not that sad. It's kind of out of nowhere. But that doesn't mean that the season doesn't do emotions well. It's the opposite. The tension in Season 2, it's done phenomenally well. Like, the characters themselves are nearly equal to the original cast as well. Thanos is hilarious yet menacing in the story. Like, he's that over-looming presence like the gangster, but just on a whole nother level, because he's so much more funny. Like the stupid kick scene, you are out, and then he just kicks them. That's hilarious. But Season 2 and Season 1 cannot be compared characteristically, because they portray different characters at their core. Season 1 is more about the intertwined relationships, and Season 2 is kind of like, I don't know, like, as a group, kind of. Season 1 is more of a individual status. Season 2 is a group status. Obviously, some of my favorite characters to point out in Season 2 are 222. Who couldn't love her? I mean, come on. The bathroom scene between her and the grandma is also extremely sad. but everyone treating her like a princess is one of the funniest, like, ongoing trends in the series. And then Gi-hoon's character development in this season is better than the first season. I love season 2 Gi-hoon more than season 1. Mainly because he cares about everyone, but he is willing to accept the deaths. He is willing to accept that he will do whatever it takes to stop the games now. Especially in in episode 7 specifically. Episode 7 specifically is Chef's Kiss. I love that episode, and I'll talk about it later. But it is such a powerful scene that he's willing to accept the deaths in season 7. However, the stand-up character is obviously 120. 120. My GOAT. Prime LeBron. Prime Curry. Prime Messi. Have nothing on her. They have nothing on her. The way she was performing in that final episode and throughout the entire season. I mean, slapping that one crazy bitch is hilarious. But she just moves like a boss in the final episode. You could convince me, if I had not watched anything up to that point about Squid Game, that 120 was the main character because of episode 7. So, that's besides the point again. But characters themselves, I think, in season 2 are equal and potentially surpass season 1. But here's where season 2 kind of falls flat for me, is admittedly the side plot. It was inevitable that I had to bring it up, but the side plot goes absolutely nowhere in this season. There's a surprise reveal at the end that, oh, the ship captain is, the spy all along, and they're going to have to figure it out. Okay, cool. Can I get back to the rebellion now? It's like, who is that again? Because the side plot itself had a good idea behind it, but it doesn't show up enough, and it kind of just goes in a dead end, like around in circles. But the thing I can say about the side plot in season 2 is that there is going to be a payoff eventually. There's going to be a payoff eventually. Whether that's in season 3, it will be in season 3, because season 3 is the final season. But there will be a payoff, and you will know that once they arrive to that island, it's over. But season 1 does a side plot way better. The side plot between that main officer, like, infiltrating the games, is so much better than what he's doing in season 2. I have to completely admit it. The only plus that I can maybe see from season 2's side plot, again, is I think the special forces themselves are really cool. I can't even lie. The special forces are extremely cool. And once they arrive on the island, as I said, all hell's going to break loose. And that mine scene is really cool too, where he opens it and just explodes. That's pretty cool as well. But I really thought that they did find the island in that scene. And I think it would have been a better part if they did find the island in that scene, honestly. And, like, snuck weapons in or something. And finally, the ending, and why I actually kind of like it. Arguably, the most talked about thing online is the cliffhanger ending. It is kind of forced. I can admit it right off the bat. The cliffhanger is forced. Feels like they just wanted to leave you there because they want more money, which I can't blame them. I mean, it's probably expensive to make a show, I would assume. But I think the entirety of episode 7 very well makes up for the fact that the cliffhanger ending does happen. Because episode 7, what I tell you, episode 7 is one of the best episodes of television history that I have ever watched. Now keep in mind, this was coming from like a very narrow perspective because I don't watch much TV. But I'm sure even if I watched anything else, it's going to be hard to top episode 7. Because to start off the episode, we get the coolest ambush scene you could ever imagine, pretty much. Like the whole planning scene and everything, and they ambush the guards, take the weapons, and just kill everyone. We all knew deep down we were rooting for this to happen. But then again, you know in the back of your mind, 001 is there. The front man has infiltrated the rebellion. And you know, you're just waiting. When is he going to strike? When is he going to take his opportunity to take down this rebellion? And to be honest, he takes a while. And I'm glad they did that. Because the action in that scene, the whole entire gunfight, phenomenal. I didn't expect that out of this. I didn't expect them to do this good of action in the series. Because, like, that's just not what I would expect, is that, like, the gun scenes would be one of the coolest scenes that I've seen in not one of the games. But, as I said before, 120, again, moves like a damn boss throughout the entire episode. Shooting out the cameras. Acting like this is, like, freaking, like, Call of Duty. This probably was Call of Duty for her. Like, she just picked up a controller and started shooting. I mean, like, that's how easy she made it look. And that's why I think 120 should win the games in Season 3, but that's just me. I know she's probably going to die, like, the first episode. But, like, the ending where she's about to take out all those guards at once, but the grandma stops her? Who the hell does the grandma think she is? To stop. Like, that would be, like, I don't know, some, like, shitty, like, assistant pulling back LeBron and saying, nah, you can't shoot that game-winning three. Or pulling back Curry and saying, nah, you can't take those free throws. Sorry, I don't know basketball, so I don't know if that, like, works at all. But, like, that's like pulling back prime Messi and saying, Messi, you can't take that penalty kick. We're going to throw some nobody in your place. Who do you think you are to do that? To stop 120 from taking out all those guards. She could have done it, and I think the grandma is the real villain of Squid Game Season 2. But that's besides me. You are just, like, you're wondering, like, are they seriously going to win? Is the front man going to fail? Obviously, he doesn't. He kills the two guys, which is a brutal scene. And then he goes and kills Gi-hun's friend. Brutal scene. But expected, honestly. I kind of expected him to die, like, earlier than that. Loki expected him to die in, like, red light, green light. But I don't know. It's just, like, 001 is a phenomenal villain and is better in this season than he is in the first season. The front man has no presence in the first season, I feel like, other than shooting his brother and not finishing the kill. Come on, be for real with yourself. You don't do anything in the first season, but then you come and give one of the best performances in Season 2. When he kills that guy in the carousel scene, mwah. When he's cheering on the freaking other people in the six-leg pentathlon scene, mwah. It's just everything about 001 is phenomenal, and even more so in the ending. I think it's a bit forced that he got the mask back on. I don't know. It feels kind of weird that he could do that in time, but yeah. I mean, that is kind of weird. I think it would have been better for him to betray Gi-hun right then and there. I get why he wants to stay anonymous. But it's a well-fought rebellion. I mean, they kill a bunch of people, and I'm just hoping, please, 246 don't be dead. That daughter needs her father, bro. I'm hoping that it's revealed in Season 3 that 246 lived, and that he's going to be, like, smuggled out of the island or something. I don't know. That's wishful thinking, though, at best. So, the final verdict. What is my final verdict on Season 2 of Squid Game? Does it surpass the first season? Or is it so bad that you shouldn't even watch it like some people are saying online? Newsflash, it isn't that one. But I think Season 2 is better than the first season. Now, Season 1 isn't awful garbage before people go down in the comments saying, oh my god, why would you put Season 2 over Season 1? You're a fake fan. First of all, really don't care. Second of all, Season 2 is one of the best shows on Netflix right now. And Squid Game itself is one of the best shows on Netflix, including Season 1. It is a compliment to say that Season 2 is over Season 1, because that's how good they did. The Rebellion, such a great scene. Seeing how the frontman's ideas are being challenged by Gi-hun and the other players. They're working together, but then it falls apart too, with the voting and with everything in it. Like, there's so much conflicting ideas. Like, there's teamwork, there's betrayal, there's everything. They want to work together, but they also know that when it comes down to it, they can win. And they can only trust themselves in the end. Everything. The voting scenes are on a different level. I love them so much. Number 100, you're a bitch, by the way, if you're gonna hear it. 100 is a bitch. But he's such a good character, though, because it's like, one more game. Do they want to risk one more game? And they're, of course, willing to risk one more game. And then the lights out again, violence, everything. As an overall score, I lean towards season 2 at maybe an 8.5 out of 10. I think on rewatch, it'll probably go towards a 9. On rewatch, it's leaning towards a 9 right now. Because there is really no big issues other than, like, the voice dubbing's weird. Yeah. Yes, I watched the dub. I'm not going to sit there and watch subtitles. You can fight me on that one if you want to. But the only real complaint is the side plot, as I said before. It's mid at best and weak at its worst. And again, the only forgiving factor of that, though, still, which is why it's still at a 9 out of 10, is that you know hell is unleashed once the special operators will make it to the Squid Game Island. So, overall, the season was phenomenal. And I'm super excited knowing that season 3 is coming out in 2025. Which is just insane that they released it this year and we're going to get it next year. There will be no more waiting. And that about wraps up this review. Let me know down in the comments if you agree, disagree. I'm pretty much willing to hear out any take on this season. And let me know if this kind of content is enjoyable or not as well. I might plan on making other reviews of shows or movies I watch, so stay tuned in the future for any content plans I have cooking up. Hint, it's probably gonna be something with Marvel and Captain America.